Hello, everyone. I'm Dodge the Grave, and today I'm being joined by sci-fi horror narrator Magnetar. Good morning.
Good morning, Dodge. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am tired, but my Skittles at 11 a.m. are keeping me awake.
Breakfast of Champions.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Finally, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's what, been like 2 years, 2.5 years?
Yeah, definitely 2 years for sure.
2 years in the making.
Wow. The first time that I heard your voice was back when you were doing an interview with TDN on his channel, actually.
Right.
That was the
And as the Raven dreams,
yes.
Raven was like the first person in the horror community that I like somehow started talking to when I first started. Um, so he's got a little special place in my heart.
I know it. I can tell. He has a special place in a lot of people's hearts.
But more special in mine. He's my special person.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So, the reason why I wanted to sit and talk with you is because sci fi horror.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You love it?
I love it. I,
Good.
I love it even more now.
Now that you started hearing great stories, or because I started narrating them?
Both.
I can feel like maybe this is leading into a why sci-fi question.
Yes.
I've always I did listen to kind of creepypasta channels over the last few years, especially like on road trips and stuff like that. The normal big ones like Somnium, Nature's Temper, Creeps McPasta, and all that. I always thoroughly enjoyed the more sci-fi specific ones, but it was always hard to sort of like sift through all of the other, ghost stories or Wendigo stories or, you know, human kidnapping, humans are bad kind of stories, you know what I mean?
Right, yes.
Um, when the thing happened, the event, I was just trying to find something to sort of occupy my time while I was sitting at home, and I'd wanted to start reading again, so it kind of just started with me reading some sci-fi stories on Reddit and stuff like that. And then I don't know why I thought I could narrate them, but I just knew that there was a lot of stories that I hadn't seen shared that I wanted, that I thought people should read, and that, authors that needed to be highlighted that weren't just the same kind of like big authors or the same sort of stories. So I decided to try and do that, promote the genre, promote those authors, and those kind of unique stories. I still to this day hate my voice, and I don't know how people listen to me, but people at least seem to enjoy the stories for the most part. So I feel like I'm doing the authors justice, and it's been fun.
You absolutely are. Yeah. And you just have your pick because your pick of the litter because there's so many stories out there and not enough people reading them.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, sometimes it's a little hard to find like quality. There are a lot of stories out there, but find like good, unique kind of sci-fi specific stories. It can be kind of difficult sometimes, especially when you're looking for authors that are responsive about sharing their stories. But luckily, like there's a couple of authors, whether they're just writing short stories or just like creepypastas on Reddit that I'm in touch with that, you know, essentially give me permission to share any of their stories. And then I also have a handful of like good friends or professional writers that, provide content for my channel as well. So I'm really thankful to have people like that supporting me and supporting the channel, and also appreciative of what I'm doing and the fans.
Dude, you even have like personal friends that write sci-fi.
Yeah, so funny enough, a friend of mine from high school who I didn't really talk to much, I posted on Instagram like a couple months ago that he started writing novels and sci-fi short stories. And so I reached out to him, sent him my channel, and he's like, "Wow, that's you. That's kind of cool." And I was like, "Yeah." So he sent me his work. His name is, well, his author name is R.C. Nishamkin, and on my channel he actually is writing the Tales of the Pulsix system is the name of the series. It's a shared universe, but there's a number of kind of isolated stories within it. And so far I've done narrations for two of his short stories, both of which are also like on Audible and stuff like that as well.
Oh, cool.
And he's going to continue to keep expanding that series, and I'm going to continue to keep trying to bring him to life and support his work.
That is a freaking godsend when you have a writer who's just like, yeah, just narrate whatever. Just, you don't even have to ask. Just send me a link.
Yeah, it is nice, but it also, it's a huge responsibility too, because I don't want to. I give it extra care. Not that I don't give care to all of my narrations. I mean, I think some do get a little bit more time in the oven than others.
Mm,
But it does. I am certainly a lot more critical of the content I put out when there's that sort of personal relationship, and they just kind of trust me implicitly because I don't want to damage that trust. You know what I mean? I don't want to
of course.
create a bad product for them.
Right, right. I feel that way when I do true off my chest posts.
Hmm.
I feel like, yeah, like for a story, you can kind of make up your own person. You don't really have to be as careful, but I feel even more, that I have to make sure that I get their voice right if I'm doing it for someone who's telling their story.
Hmm.
And
Right.
that's a little stressful. And I think that's why I shy away from like the true scary stories or true off my chest posts.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly that would worry me as well.
Mm. So, 2 years ago, you started your channel.
Yeah, I think it was July like 6th or 16th or something of 2020. So it's going to be 3 years soon.
Mm-hmm. I have tried to sift through some sci fi stories myself.
Hmm.
And I noticed that there's a lot of them that don't have that many female characters
Hmm.
in it, or it's very sparse. And so
Yeah.
I'm left with that dilemma of, you know, do I take testosterone injections or do I try to speak with the sci fi writer and ask them if they're okay with me changing their male characters to female characters? And a lot of them aren't. And I completely understand that.
Right.
But then it's like kind of slim pickings.
Yeah, that identifies a number of different topics that I would love to get into. I don't know if we have the time to, but we I think you and I, and there's a couple of other narrators I can think off the top of my head and channels that genuinely care about not just reading the stories as if you're just reading a script, but actually trying to bring it to life in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So like you said, matching a female voice or a female character with a feminine voice, masculine voice for a male character, accents if it's appropriate, um, tone and enunciation and stuff like that. It's it's extremely important to me, but genuinely understand that I can't pull it off all the time. Um, so when possible, I try to bring in other voice talent or experiment with AI a little bit. But yeah, I think that makes we care that much about bringing it to life and representing it in an authentic way that I think it definitely makes it harder for us.
Mm-hmm. And you say that you're not I mean, I love when you bring actual female narrators on, but even when you do it yourself, you're still really good. And I'm almost convinced that you took some kind of acting or some kind of training in some way
Mhm.
because you can do all these crazy accents, like these Russian accents. I don't know if it's authentic or, if it's accurate or not, but it's convincing.
My Russian can use a little work. Especially, some native speakers have said that for sure.
Mhm.
My German accent's all right. It's passable.
Mm,
My sort of standard like South English accent's okay.
mm.
Um, but it usually takes a couple takes also to make it okay. But I'm also trying, I'm trying not to make it like a caricature, of these or an exaggeration of these accents. And sometimes it's just to differentiate, like if there's for whatever reason, if I can't get voice talent or if AI is just not
Mhm.
emoting how I need it to be, or it's just not sounding natural,
Mhm.
then I sometimes use accents just so people can more easily differentiate the characters, even if it's not defined in the story that they have an accent. So if there's just like three male characters and there's like dialogue happening between them, but there's no direction from like the story or the writer,
Mhm.
what their background is or anything like that, then I'll just sort of assign what kind of feels right, I guess.
Right.
Again, just to try to make it easier for the listeners to understand who's talking.
You do a really good job at it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Does take a lot of takes, and I probably spend too much time trying to edit it to sound okay in my head.
I listened to your first narration.
My very first one?
Your very first one, yes. Well, obviously, because I mean, way back in the day, I listened to your first one.
Hmm.
But just today, I listened to your very first one, yes.
How did it? How was the audio quality? How did it sound?
For your first video, it was very impressive, actually.
I think I was using a. I think I had a snowball, the little Yetis or blue snowball or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, if I remember correctly, it just sounded sort of very echoey.
It
Um,
sounded a bit echoey. There were mouth clicks and but
Still have voice to this day. They're the bane of my existence.
same. Same. They won't go away. The usual things that happen in a first narration, but taking all that away, I heard the sound effects, I heard you using different filters to make your voice sound like AI or like a computer,
Mhm.
the spaceship, and music. And yeah, you were a bit echoey and there were some other things that I can point out, but that was really impressive for your first video.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's still, I mean, other than it being my first, I think that story just kind of exemplifies the genre in a way. You got artificial intelligence, you have monstrous extraterrestrials, I believe. Aren't there aliens in
Mm-hmm.
that? I think that's what happens at the end.
Yes.
You have sort of the horror of isolation, being like kind of the lone person in a shuttle surrounded by death, essentially.
Mm.
I don't know. I thought it was just a very I don't think it was purposeful that I selected that as my first story, but thinking back now, I think it is very symbolic and very representative of what I wanted my channel to be about in a way. And the music certainly is important to me. Unfortunately, I don't always have time to like find the perfect music to like the different tracks to kind of go throughout the whole story, and sometimes I just have to use sort of a generic background ambience or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Despite my wants to up the production value, it's sometimes hard to do that for every video. And same with the sound effects. I think some stories, um, like Arsena Shamkin's stories that I'm doing, certainly trying to up that production value, have the sound effects, have the music change and stuff like that. Um, but it's not something that I think every story needs, and it's certainly not something I could do for every story. I already probably take longer. I know I take longer than my subscribers want me to release content.
Right.
So doing that would just take more time. Um, and there's people that do that better, I think. Um,
There's always someone who does it better.
well, yeah, but yeah. So I try to do it where I can, where I think it's appropriate, where it fits without being overly crazy with the music or the sound effects to where it's distracting. Um, but yeah, that first story, I was so nervous to put that out.
Oh, who isn't nervous? You should be nervous.
Yeah, that's true.
The first
Um,
video, Jesus. I think I held on to my first one for a long time.
like before uploading it.
Before uploading it, yes. Actually, the very first video I uploaded was a gameplay, and I did so many takes on that one video that I could have made maybe 200 videos from that one gameplay. I did
What game was it though? What game was it?
It was the Dark Side Detective.
I don't even know what that is.
I know. I don't think there's very few people who know what that is. It's nice to know I spent so much time on it for no reason.
Well, hey, maybe you could have single-handedly propped up that studio in their product.
Right. They owe me.
Yeah.
But yes, nerve-wracking, and I I'm a little well, I don't want to say disappointed, but I wish I didn't take as much time to upload. You guys, if you have a video that you are waiting to upload and it's your first one, just do it and stop faffing about. Oh, I learned faffing.
Yeah. I love that. I love faffing about. It's
Yeah.
great. But yeah, just release that shit. And if no one listens to it, no one listens to it, I guess. Um,
It's almost even better when they don't listen to it.
sometimes
Yeah,
for sure.
right.
It's always funny. I think I might be telling on myself a little bit here, but often on my channel, it's often the videos that I least like
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the quality or sometimes even the story that sometimes just like pops off, and I don't understand that. But then there'll be other stories that like were custom written and just beautiful stories that I worked really hard on narrating to bring to life, and it's like 20% of the views as some of these other ones. It's interesting to see that, and I think certainly the title of a story affects it a lot.
Oh, yes.
But I try not to like change the title of a story that's written, you know what I mean? Especially when it's like a very thematic title. Um, that's kind of coming off track here. But yeah, just upload your videos. Who cares? This is do it for you. Don't do it for anybody else.
Right, right. I mean, it's one of those things where you have to upload the bad ones in order to get to the good ones.
Right.
Yeah. Dang. And then you hear it, and then you realize all the things that you did wrong, and you compare it to
Yeah.
ones that have thousands of subscribers, and then you can compare it and you get feedback, hopefully positive feedback or constructive criticism, but you got to upload it in order to get it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is a daunting thing to a lot of people.
Yeah, putting yourself out there.
Yeah, and then you're just sitting there refreshing, looking at the view count, looking at the comments.
That don't show up.
Right. Yeah. And the algorithm's weird. Like I don't
I don't get it.
what again it decides to share. It's just interesting.
I was talking to another narrator about the exact same thing. Just like the algorithm doesn't make sense. I don't get it. I don't
Yeah.
understand why some videos get more views than others, even though I work so hard and I do even more on it. Or
Yeah.
I just think the story is amazing. Why doesn't it get the views? And it's just,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's again like working so hard on something and then it doesn't perform as well. And I'm not in this to like get rich or to get famous. But it's hard not to ignore the analytics when it's just in your face constantly. You know what I mean? I think it's human nature to pay attention to that.
oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, if you put in like 150% on every single video and you see some doing better than others, sometimes you think like, what's the point? And I think that got to me a little bit, and maybe that's why I don't do sound effects, for example, on every single video.
Mm-hmm.
I try to be deliberate and kind of invest more in the ones that I think need it, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe also that means that I think we'll be more successful with it. Um, yeah, I think that's just human nature, unfortunately.
Yeah. I uh I gave 200%. I put like oh, I put like weeks worth of work into a video, and I at some point your subscriber count goes up, so you feel like you need to pump more out.
Yeah,
So I couldn't keep up with the demand based on how I was editing and putting videos together.
yeah. There is demand. People will make it known that they're unhappy with the release schedule
Mm-hmm. They'll let you know.
of their free content.
They will tell you. Or they won't, and your views would just drop and your subs would just drop, and then you'll know that way.
Right.
But I was just like, I can't look, just scroll through Pexels or Pixabay for days looking for visuals that will go for each part of the story. I
Right.
can't look for 1,000 sound effects. I can't do that anymore and realistically put out a video a week.
Yeah.
And while that kind of hurts me, I feel like it's benefited the channel.
Yeah. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize, especially folks that come from watching the bigger channels in
Mm,
this space. A lot of these channels have teams behind them.
yes.
Um, Creeps McPasta. I don't know about Somnium personally, um, but folks like that with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, they have teams. They have people who are custom writing their stories constantly. They have people that are helping them edit the audio and thumbnails and sound effects, all of that. And that's just not the case when you're talking about other channels. You know what I mean? It's like ours.
Yeah.
Um, and this isn't our, or at least this isn't my job. This is not something I do every day or have time to do every day or even every week.
Mm,
Um, Not that I don't want to. And I try to relay that to my community, and kind of keep people updated. Like, hey, here are my plans of what I want to do this week. And if it's not looking like that's going to happen, then I generally tell folks that. Some take it well and they're like, awesome, thanks for being a human and just keeping us updated. And some are like, screw you, that's just another excuse. You're never going to release anything. And I'm like, okay, well, why are you here?
mm, mm,
Complain.
mm. I mean, you're here to listen to sci-fi horror, right? And I do upload sci-fi horror, so
Yeah, exactly. And if you want it every single day, then
mm.
you can pay my salary and I can quit my job and,
Right.
and I'll do it every single day.
Do you want to adopt me?
Right.
What is a typical day like for you?
Well, Um, I work in public policy, so generally it's a pretty early morning, and I just do a lot of meetings and a lot of reading of stuff.
Mm.
Um, Generally, if I am gonna record that day, I'll try to record in the morning. So like I'll maybe work from like 8 to 10, and then I'll try to record from like 10 to 12, 10 to 1. This is if it's a story that I think I can get out the same day.
Mm-hmm.
Take 2 or 3 hours to do the recording, um, get it edited and stuff. And then generally I'll try to do like, I've been trying to do live premieres, just so I can interact with people,
Yeah.
in the chat. So I generally try to premiere sometime in like the late afternoon or the evening.
Mm-hmm.
So while it's like uploading and exporting and all that, I just sort of go back to working. Um, Hopefully no one from my job's listening to this, but I make sure I get everything I need to get done. Okay, guys. But I have to find time somewhere for narrating.
Right.
Um, but yeah, that's kind of what like my quote unquote work days look like.
Uh,
And then free time is usually dedicated to dogs, TV, movies, and games. We have cats too. I guess I gotta mention them.
yeah, you can't forget the cats.
Yeah.
How do you record and not go crazy with all the animal noises?
It's sometimes hard. A little bit harder. Like the reason I haven't recorded the last week, there's a number of reasons I haven't recorded the last week, but we just got this puppy on Saturday, so it hasn't even been a week yet.
Mm.
So he's 9 weeks old, or he will be 10 weeks on Monday.
Mm.
So he's very much a puppy. So he's needed attention, and I haven't really been able to just sort of close myself off and just narrate.
Right.
But generally, I have an office. I've done what I can without like super breaking the bank to sort of try to soundproof it a little bit. I have some acoustic panels on the ceiling, the walls, the closet door, but it certainly could be better. Um,
You're also in your closet.
no, I'm not in the closet, but I've like on the doors and stuff, I have panels on the doors to try again to reduce the sound.
I see.
I did start in the closet though. I've experienced that, but it was too hot and too cramped. Um, but yeah, occasionally I have to stop and re-record because there's a collar jingling or a bark or Prim's chasing a cat or something, whatever it might be. So that does sometimes extend the time and raise my blood pressure, but
It's the sacrifices you make.
yeah, sure is.
Mm. How many pets do you have?
2 dogs and 2 cats. And it's so Ike is the 9 month old or 9 week old that we adopted. He is a lab retriever mixed with something, we're not sure. Maybe German Shepherd, maybe Rottweiler.
Mm.
10-year-old King Charles and Spaniel mix named Primrose. We have had her since like the end of 2014. And then 2 cats that were adopted 2 years ago. They're brothers. They're just like normal tabbies, I guess, domestic short hairs. Ollie, Oliver, and Nico.
Cute.
First cats I've owned that are like mine.
You've always been an animal lover.
Always.
Mm.
When I was brought home from I don't know why my parents did that. It's insane. Maybe that's why they broke up. But when they brought me home from the hospital, I think that same week they also took in a puppy black lab. So they had me and a puppy at the same time. So I grew up with him. His name was Shadow, a black lab.
Mm.
And we eventually adopted a second dog, but he and I grew up together for like 14 years. He ended up passing away when I was in, I think, junior high, like seventh grade or eighth grade or something like that. And then the other dog passed away before then. And then my grandma's always had dogs on both sides. Um, yeah, so I've always had dogs, never cats until now.
Mm.
Had ferrets and hamsters and gerbils, but hermit crabs at one point.
Uh, what?
Yeah, little crabs, and they like kind of like switch the shells when they get bigger. Yeah, really low maintenance, but
What do they eat?
I don't remember. I know we put a sponge in there, but I think that was for water. Like you would soak a sponge in water and they would like drink off that sponge or something.
Huh.
This is when I was like super young. I don't really remember.
Mm. We used to have cats.
Hmm.
I've never had a dog. Um,
No,
nope.
you're missing out.
I completely agree. Um, but I've always been allergic, so
Yeah, me too. I think I'm allergic to like the oil of dog skin and like the dandruff from cats or some shit.
holy cow.
So I just kind of deal with it.
How do you deal with it?
It's not, I guess it's not debilitating. I don't know. I just have a stuffed nose a lot of the time, but it's worth it.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I can't breathe.
Well, see.
I need oxygen and
We'll just get an oxygen tank and wear a mask.
stop making excuses.
Yeah, what the hell are you talking about? They have like hypoallergenic, like hairless dogs. You can get like breeds. You can get one of those.
Did you say hairless dogs?
Yeah, like the cats that are like hairless, they're just skin.
Oh God. No hate. I'm just um pass.
Yeah,
Pass.
I feel that.
Right. So always had cats, but we never I lived in Brooklyn, New York, and
Mm.
we never went to a like an animal shelter to get them.
They were just around.
Yeah, my mom would just bring them in from outside and
Yeah, after I moved up here to the Northeast, that's something I noticed. Just a lot of outdoor cats. Like they're not stray. There are strays, but a lot of people just have. They say they have cats, but they're outdoor cats, and they just kind of walk around. But to me, that doesn't even seem like a pet. That's just a stray animal that eats your food sometimes. Like if you just leave it outside permanently, that's not a pet to me. And I would never. I guess no shade to people who do that, but I would never like have my dogs or cats like 100% outside animals. They're part of the family to me, so I like to they're inside with us. We eat dinner together. We cuddle. So
oh,
yeah,
oh. Um, yeah, they ran away. They could not be contained.
yeah. Probably they're like, where the hell am I right now? Brady just took me.
You just took me. I don't
Just took me.
I don't know how she was able to get these.
Were they like kittens or were they like adult
No, they
cats?
were adult feral cats, and she would bring them into I don't know how she was able to catch them or what, but she never showed up to the apartment with scratches on her face. Like she just
Hmm.
had a cat. Maybe she lured them in somehow. I don't know.
Feral cat whisperer.
Apparently, apparently, man, could I don't know, get paid for that in some way. I feel. But we lived on the first floor, and yeah, they typically ran away.
Yeah, that's sad.
I'm all right with it because they scratched the hell out of the furniture, and and they were street cats, so
I bet they fight and they're just kind of skittish and
they were very skittish. They would do parkour off the furniture and just run high speed around the apartment. It wasn't boring.
yeah.
Yeah, slight tangent. What hobbies are you into when you're not narrating?
Gaming's a big one and it always has been. Um, if I'm happy, I'm gaming. If I'm sad, I'm gaming. If I want to disappear, I'm gaming.
Mm.
So that's always been a big part of my life.
What game are you playing right now?
Well, right, like now, like as in 5 minutes before we started, literally 5 minutes before I got on this interview was Resident Evil 4 Remake that just came out today. Over the last few weeks, I actually started playing Apex Legends again for the first time in like a year and a half or something like that.
Mm.
I've been having some fun with that.
Yeah. Weren't you a noob though? Like, weren't they like kicking your ass for a bit?
Come on. Come on.
Oh, you
Kicking my
were what? You're a natural? You just jumped right in, and it was,
I mean, I've played it before, but I mean, an FPS is an FPS, and
huh?
I've been playing it since I was like 5.
Oh, okay.
Um,
See, I didn't know that.
I mean, I hopped in ranked, and we got up to what am I like? Whatever the lowest tier of diamond is. So that's something.
That is
Uh,
something. Holy crap.
um, yeah, but I've been having fun with it. I mean, it's super. It's way more sweaty than it used to be, and the community's gotten really toxic. But I have some fun with it right now.
Mm. It's a good mm, stress reliever.
It's supposed to be, but
It'll get your rage up though.
yeah, yeah. But it's almost cathartic.
Yes. You have your rage directed at something else other than
Exactly.
yes.
And then you hop back into a next match and you take it out on some other people. Good to go.
Explains why I die so fast in Apex. There's so much so much pent up rage just being released in that place.
Yeah.
Mm,
What about you? Do you play any games?
I do.
I know you play games, but what do you play?
Um, Typically I'm in games that other people are playing. So right now, my friends are playing Played Up.
Hmm.
Are you familiar with Overcooked?
I am.
It's like it's like Overcooked.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Is it on PC?
Yes.
Nice.
I play mostly PC games. I
Yeah.
grew up on console, of course, but I guess that's not really an of course. But right now I'm pretty much just with my PC and my Switch and my PlayStation, like original PlayStation. That's
Oh yeah.
that's how
The OG, like the square gray one?
well, it's black. Oh, right, not the original, but it's a black one. It's I guess it's the one after that.
Mm,
And
nice.
yeah.
I bought a Switch um for my partner like a like not December of last year, but this December before.
Mm-hmm.
Um so she could play that instead of playing the Xbox, and I wanted to play the Xbox. And we have touched it one time since then, and that was on an airplane this January. And I've been trying to sell it. So if anybody listening wants to buy a Nintendo Switch and 3 games in a case, hit me up because I don't want it. I don't know why I bought it. I'm not even that big of a fan of Nintendo. Sorry, guys. I know that's like a sin, but yeah, take it off my hands because I need to buy a second Xbox.
What games do you have with it?
I think it's Breath of the Wild,
Mm-hmm. Of course.
which I hear is, amazing, and I still never played it again. I've not played more than an hour on that Switch. And I thought I was gonna play it, but I don't have any interest in playing it. I know it's pretty, I know it's people say it's great, but it's just not me. So it's Breath of the Wild, I think Mario Party, whatever the newest one is, and then Hyrule Warriors, which is like the Zelda universe, but it's like a 4-player co-op game or something like that.
Yeah. Mario Kart 8. I'm playing that one with friends. I'm playing.
I mean, everybody loves Mario Kart and Smash Bros, but that's not something that I play like continuously, you know what I mean? I'd rather have like a Steam Deck. Use the money to buy a Steam Deck or something.
That would make more sense for me, yeah, than a Switch.
Yeah. Maybe we have 2 Switches for sale, Don.
That would be very handy, Mags, because I don't want to have to get another controller, or if someone stops by, they won't have to bring their own.
Right.
What you selling it for?
Um,
$4,000.
actually $32,000 actually.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
You're gonna retire.
Right. No, but yeah, I am. Yeah, I've always grown up with games. I think my first one was like a Nintendo 64.
Mm-hmm.
There was like we had an Atari in the house, a Sega, Genesis,
Mm-hmm.
Super Nintendo. And then at one point somehow, because like uncles gave it to us and stuff like that, we ended up with like three PlayStation 1s at one time in our house. Had the PlayStation 2, had the original Xbox, had the Halo Edition 360, couple of 360s because the Red Ring of Death killed them, and then PS3. I haven't had PlayStation since the PS3 though. It's been Xbox all the way. And I do have a PC, a really good PC. It's just so fucking uncomfortable to play mouse and keyboard
Dude,
or to just sit at my desk and play when I can just sit on my couch with a controller. That's just so much more convenient.
yeah. And it's a break from the computer.
Right, exactly. If I'm sitting for 8 hours at work on the computer, I don't want to just switch to a different window and then just to relax. You know what I mean? I don't want to
Right.
sit anymore. I don't want to use a mouse and keyboard.
Dude, the things people can do on mouse and keyboard are
Yeah.
ridiculous. I wonder if they have an advantage when playing first person shooters.
They absolutely have an advantage. And I can hear people typing right now if in the future in the comments saying, no, controller players have aim assist. They have the benefits. You are a misinformed person who is typing. It is so much more precise to use a mouse. And aim assist, more often than not, gets me killed when I'm trying to shoot somebody in front of me and it's like tracking people behind that person or it's trying to correct for their running while I'm already correcting, so it's overcorrecting. No, there is no comparison. Mouse and keyboard is by and large better for FPSs, hands down. It's just uncomfortable for me and I hate it. But it does certainly put me at a disadvantage.
You've been holding that in for a long time.
So annoying because like some of these games are crossplay with PC and it's infuriating when someone's like spinning around in hyperspeed and hip firing you with like no recoil. And then they're like, "Oh, but you got aim assist." Like, "Oh, shut up." It is, yeah, it is an issue close to my heart.
Don't keep that bottled up inside. So I'm going to hop over to one of our audience submitted questions.
Okay.
And this one is from the Dark Cosmos. Thank you for your question.
They are not just an audience member, they are one of the channels that I was speaking of. Shout out to Kian and his team over at the Dark Cosmos. Go check them out. They do sci-fi stories. I think they're all written by his own team, and they're like audio drama style. So there's like lots of sound effects, like lots of really good acting, and
Mm,
like a huge cast of people. So yeah, if you like my channel or interested in sci-fi, go check them out.
sweet. That's quite the endorsement.
Yeah.
Question number one: Disneyland or Universal Studios? Choose one.
I've only been to Disneyland and it was terrible. So just on that, I'm gonna say Universal Studios. Well, though Disneyland does have the Star Wars stuff now, and it didn't have that when I was there.
Right. See, it depends on when you go.
Yeah. I went the spring of 2014 as a senior band trip. It was for our high school band.
What?
Yeah, and we like played there. Like we played like along with the Lion King movie. Like we played the soundtrack while the movie was playing, kind of thing.
Oh, cool.
Um, it was all right. But Disneyland itself, or whatever one's in Florida, is that Land or World? I think that's Land.
Couldn't even tell you.
But yeah, it was meh. Too many people, too much Disney. What does Universal Studios have though? They have Harry Potter. What else? Look it up.
most likely superhero stuff. Did you say look it up?
I'm looking it up. I'm
Oh.
not. No, I wasn't commanding you
Oh.
to. What is at Universal Studios? Let's see. Well, there's Hollywood and Orlando. Let's do Orlando since I went to the Florida. Oh no. They have
Despicable Me? You know they have it.
Minion Mayhem, and there's just minions everywhere. It's never mind. I take that back. Do I have to go? Do I have to pick?
Yeah, that's the question. Yeah, you gotta choose one.
And they got SpongeBob. I hate SpongeBob, and people also. That's I guess another sin as well. So I hate Nintendo. I hate SpongeBob, and I hate anything else from that's precious from your guys' childhood. Um, I'm gonna have to say Universal Studios. I'd rather go to right now because I've never been. Let's just say that.
Because you've never been, yeah.
Maybe the minions will be on break.
They won't be.
Maybe SpongeBob will be in the bathroom.
They're gonna be in the bathrooms too. They're gonna have Despicable Me themed toilet paper and paper towels.
Oh my gosh.
Toilet seats. It's gonna be SpongeBob's mouth for the urinal.
You gotta stop.
All right, second question from the Dark Cosmos is favorite sci-fi movie or movies? And then after that, it's TV shows. So let's start with movies.
Interstellar has a special place in my heart with Matthew McConaughey. Frickin' what's his name? Topher Grace from that '70s show who plays Eric Foreman.
Yes.
It's got oh Chastain, I think is her last name.
Jessica?
Jessica Chastain, is she in that?
Mm,
Is she in it, or is that?
she might be.
Hold on.
Are you Googling it? You're one of those people that have to know right now.
And then Matt Damon's in it shortly, and it was Jessica Chastain. God, I'm good. And Anne Hathaway. Yeah, Michael Caine. I love that movie just based on the soundtrack alone,
Oh, yeah, it's great.
but the visuals also were stunning. And from my understanding, they worked like the graphics department worked with like some top university to like develop the visuals, especially for like the black hole. And it actually led to like actual like scientific like it contributed to like scientific research and stuff like that. Because it was like a new way to render it or something. I don't know.
Crazy.
So it was not just a movie, it also was like good. Oh, here it is. The movie Interstellar led to the discovery of a scientific phenomena. It developed a graphics renderer so accurate, it led to the discovery of two. Interesting.
Holy cow. I watched a Cinema Sins. I think it was a Cinema Sins.
Hmm.
Uh, they went over Interstellar and they had Neil deGrasse Tyson on there also, sort
Yeah.
of like fact checking. And it seemed like it was pretty dead on. So,
Yeah.
yeah, good movie all around.
Yep. Props to them.
TV.
Christopher Nolan was the director, I think, right?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah. TV show?
Hmm. I am trying to think of one that's like really interesting, but this is I don't know. I thoroughly, surprisingly enjoyed Lost Netflix's Lost in Space recently. Um, it's like a remake of like a classic sci-fi show. And I only recently watched it. It was pretty good. It was better than I thought it was going to be. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but that's just the first thing that came to my mind um, recently.
Is there more than one season of it?
I think there's 2 seasons. No, there's 3 seasons. There's 3 seasons. I think it ended like 2 or 3 years ago,
Oh,
and it wraps up okay. It certainly leaves it open for possibly more, But it was solid. It was a good watch. It was a good romp.
I'm all about the ROMs.
All right.
Yeah, they're hard to come by sometimes.
And you got to mention the X-Files as well. I grew up watching the X-Files, so
I've never seen the X Files.
that's disappointing.
I know.
What are you doing tonight?
Watching the X Files, apparently.
There you go.
Just to keep the subscriber base, I will watch the X Files. I don't even know where to find it. I guess I could
Google it.
just find it anywhere now because it's so
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure it's streaming somewhere.
Mm. I bet it looks really crazy now that it's been out for what, 30
They did a reboot of it
with the same
recently.
people?
Yeah,
No.
yeah. I think it was only one season though. Let me see. X-Files reboot. Um, I think it was just one season, but I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything about it to be honest, and I haven't watched it yet.
Mm. That would be so. I'd be really worried to watch a reboot of it.
I don't even know if it was a reboot because it does say like it's a season 12, like it's a continuation, not like X-Files whatever season 1. So,
Oh.
hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I wonder how they handle that. I guess I'll have to find out.
Good for him. I'm glad Californication wasn't the last thing he's been in. And number three is it's the zombie apocalypse. What will you do and where will you go?
I just watched a video about this community in like South Dakota that can house like 5,000 people, and it's like a bunch of bunker houses
Mm.
with like escape hatches and like solar power and all sorts of shit like that. So I think I might try to make my way there. It's nice and secluded. It's underground. It's got, its own water source, its own, you can grow crops there.
Nice.
If I'm talking about the immediate aftermath, I mean, I'm right outside of DC, so this is like ground zero for
You're
control
right.
craziness.
Right.
I I don't even know. I would just try to get the hell out of. I would just try to get inland as quick as possible. It wouldn't even be like, oh, I'm gonna run to like Home Depot and like try to get supplies and fortify. Like I would just try to
Mm-mm.
get the hell out of this area. Especially if it's something crazy like World War. And yeah, and that's another thing. I think it depends on the type of zombie slash infected we're talking about. Because if it's like World War Z zombies,
Oh,
I'm going in the ground. I'm putting myself in the ground because I'm not gonna deal with that. But if it's like the Walking Dead zombies, yeah,
right.
I'll just fucking. It's just a normal Thursday. Like it's not a big deal.
Same
Uh,
traffic, same.
it's just traffic. People move a little
Right.
slower, right? Uh, won't be as many people in line at the restaurant at least.
That's
Like it's
nice.
fine. I can deal with that.
Yeah.
I don't really talk to my neighbors anyway. Uh, yeah, but if it's like World War Z zombies or like I Am Legend infected,
Right.
I don't want to deal with that, honestly. Um,
I'm making my bunker as we speak.
yeah, there you go. I mean, there was a lot that happened the last few years that led me to do some, I guess you could call it prepping. Um, I got like gas masks and like with NBC filters that can like handle like radiological, biological, nuclear like stuff,
Oh, wow.
uh, like iodine tablets,
Mm-hmm.
like bug out bags and stuff like that.
Right.
But I don't have like a bunker. I don't have like a month's worth of food. I don't have like stuff like that. Just like kind of basic things just to make sure that I can like survive like the first couple days to get the hell out.
Right. Yes.
Um, and that's what I would do. I would just try to get out.
I have one of those face masks, but it's for
Yeah.
when I use resin.
Yeah. It was yeah, I have two different types. And they just look cool. I've always liked gas masks as like just an aesthetic for some reason. I think maybe it's because I grew up playing Resident Evil actually, and there was like There's a character in the second Resident Evil on the original PlayStation called Hunk, I think was his name. And they had like these cool gas masks, and in the Resident Evil movie they had them too. I don't know, they're just always cool to me.
Have you played all the Resident Evil games?
Um, all of the mainline Resident Evil games. I've played a couple of like those offshoots, but not every single one. There's some like shitty like old Super Nintendo light gun like Resident
Mm.
Evils, and some weird like Game Boy ones and stuff I've never played, but like all the main lines for sure.
I prefer Resident Evil 7 and 8.
Yeah.
I prefer the ones that look like that. I'm the top-down ones. I'm just and
Have you played the remakes at all? Like Resident Evil 2 or 3 remake?
I haven't. No.
I mean, it's third person. It's not top down. It's not tank controls, but it's not first person. But it is very, very good, and it looks stunning. Their new engine's fantastic. Highly recommend Resident Evil 2 remake, especially.
You would take 2 over 4?
I haven't finished 4 yet,
Mm.
um, but I love 2. 2 is, I think, more horror to it than 4, at least the original 4. And I don't know, it's just, I think it was like the first one I played too, so maybe it's that aspect of it. I always preferred 2 though.
Mm. So you contributed a story to one of my ASMR compilations.
Hmm. I don't remember which one.
It was something about gravity and time. Through gravity and time.
Right.
Yeah. Written and narrated by Magnetar.
Wow.
Yep.
Good on that guy.
Dude, that was really good.
Is it bad that I don't remember it? Because it was so long ago.
A little bit.
It was, I have a lot of like series ongoing too that I need to finish, that I start because I have so many great ideas that I just can't figure out how to do. Um, so it's hard for me to keep up sometimes. Through gravity and time. Oh yeah. This was like one of my first ones.
So good. I can't even imagine what it's like to write a sci-fi story or a sci-fi horror. Can you talk, well, I mean, if you can remember, can you talk me through how you were able to do that without having any kind of like, I don't know if you have a science degree or anything, but
No, no.
mm,
No, I don't. I wish. I just, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I could keep up.
mm,
Honestly, it's a lot. And I hate numbers. Hate numbers. But there, I'm going to talk more about a recent, or I guess a story that I'm finishing now from a series. I think actually, when I did start writing, part one of this series was the first thing I wrote
mm.
almost 2 years ago, and I'm just now finishing it. So sorry, everybody who's listened to part 1 through 5 over the last 2 years and have been waiting. Gonna be done this month, or not? Well, it'll be written, finalized this month, and I'll put it out as soon as I can. Um, but I need to come up with an actual title for it because it was just like something I uploaded to Reddit with like one of those fucking long ass creepypasta
Yeah.
titles. The title is like "The Americans didn't make it to the moon first.
uh,
Their astronauts just lived to tell the tale," or some shit.
yeah.
So it needs a title.
One that fits on a thumbnail.
Mhm. But I'm finishing that up now, and it is very much sci-fi horror, fiction, but I've worked really hard to keep it grounded in reality as much as possible. So you'll hear references to like real life events or real life projects or real life. So, like, for example, like the Tunguska event where, like a bunch of trees got blown up. I think there was like a meteor or something like that is tied into it. the various like mission, the various missions that NASA did and the Soviets did, like secret projects that were scrapped, where in this universe I'm building were just like not scrapped. It was just sort of like under the table shit where they like were developing like space like laser pistols for their cosmonauts and stuff in Russia.
Mm.
So I try very much to keep it grounded in reality by again referencing and bringing in things from the real world, which did take a lot of sort of like research in a way, um, and just kind of reading about the history of the moon landing and what both nations were doing at the time. Um, and then how to weave in that, to make that it's not necessarily hardcore science, but bringing in that more realistic science into this kind of horror fiction setting and make it entertaining, I think is the hardest part. Not just entertaining, but also like, what's the word? Like something that can be understood.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not just a jumble of words with like no real through line.
Right.
Uh, I'm not like a writer at all, so that was difficult for me.
That's a lie.
Uh,
You are a writer.
eh,
Okay, you write.
okay,
At what
everybody,
point,
right?
yeah, at what point do you become a writer?
I don't know.
When I'm published, I guess. I don't
I
know.
guess. Sure. I mean, yeah. So that's that one, and I have a couple other series and other stories that I've either written myself, I've co-written with somebody, or that I've like worked with a writer and said like, here is an outline, here are like the characters, here's a story that I want, but I don't have the time or the creative capacity to do it,
Been
and
there.
so I asked for others to help. And one person that's been doing an amazing job at that is Jordan, and she's credited in all of the videos for the stories that she wrote. Jordan Long is her name. So I just want to give a shout out to Jordan because she's amazing.
Wonderful.
Um, she's helping me finish this last part of this story, to help me get it over the fucking finish line because I've been struggling.
Yeah.
So yeah, just very thankful to her and all her stories. This is kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like all her stories are so amazing and so deep and well thought out.
Mm.
And sometimes they don't get as much love as I think they deserve. Like I think they should have the most views on my channel oftentimes. Um, and sometimes they're not. And I think that's disappointing. Um, but yes, huge shout out to Jordan.
I
I lost what the question was.
right. So did I. I asked a few in that at what point do you become a writer? Where were you going with that?
I don't know.
One of those tangents.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I've done that too. I've started a horror story and I'm like, this sounds really good, but I really don't know the in between. Oh, right. Okay, so I was like, how do you write sci-fi if you don't have any science background?
Mhm.
But I think it has to be grounded somewhere in the real, somewhere, something that people can sort of relate to or can have some kind of foundation that they can stand on.
Exactly. And I think one of the second or third stories I wrote too, um, I'm trying to go to my fucking channel so I can remember these names, these stories.
There's so many.
It was like about 3 or 4 soldiers that were like exploring like yeah, the creepypasta title again was We Were Sent to an Abandoned Lab.
Yes.
It did more than research diseases.
I remember that
Um,
one. Yes.
Again, that is based on a real, I believe, CIA lab that was like in Africa or wherever the hell it was, where they were doing like research, and it was just like abandoned and kind of like overgrown after the U.S. like fled that area.
Mm.
Um, so that's where like that setting came to be. And then of course, the U.S. government does sketchy things, so it wasn't in far leap to say that they were doing more than they said there.
Right. Easy.
Yeah.
And then throw in the sci-fi. Can you apparently it's possible to write sci-fi if you don't know anything sci-fi. But like do you do more than just, the standard research? Do you do like science research, or do you just make something up and hope it sticks?
In terms of like explanations for things, is that what you mean?
Yes.
Like faster than light travel or stuff like that? Like
Yes.
how I I mean right now in real life it's all theoretical in terms of faster than light travel. Like we haven't done that. Um, so it's if it's something like that that is not or has not happened in the real world, I guess this is where the fiction part comes in. I very much do look at what other authors have done or other worlds have done.
Mm.
Like when you're talking about FTL, there's like what hyper, what the fuck is it called in Star Wars? Whatever it's called in Star Wars, there's like Mass Effect field and Mass Effect. Like, every science fiction world has like their own take on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I very much use that for inspiration, not for that specific example, but for like general sci-fi things that I need like an explanation for that's not grounded in the real world just yet.
Mm.
But in terms of like, am I like in a looking up like a physics equation or something like that? No. It's generally kind of like, facts. Like, okay, if someone's pushed over on the moon and their foot kicks up dust, does that stay suspended? How long does it stay suspended? Does it immediately fall to the ground? Like, I know it's lower than Earth gravity, but what does that mean? You know what I mean? So when I'm like trying to describe a situation, then I try to I have to look up how realistically the characters would act in that situation, or how would interacting with a specific object, what would that look like?
Got it.
Hmm.
Do you have a ritual or any habits when you're getting ready to write or record?
Not really. Not a very ritualistic person generally, but no. Sometimes I will just like wake up at 6 in the morning and can't sleep, go back to sleep and start recording.
Mm.
Sometimes I'll be bored at 11 p.m. and I'll start recording. Like I said, generally I try to get it done in the early afternoon or morning. But no, there's no real ritual other than just making sure the pets are situated
Mm-hmm.
and I don't really have anything going on.
What were you like in high school? I'm curious.
Pretty much the same, I would say, I guess. I don't know. I grew up outside of Dallas in a suburb. Pretty small high school. I was like a class of like, I don't know, like 400 or something like that.
Mm.
Maybe I think by the end it was like 335 or something like that.
Right.
Um, but I was in band. I was in percussion. Um, took some AP classes, did some dual credit college classes. I wasn't like a straight A student, but I also wasn't like a burnout. And there wasn't like I wasn't one, our school didn't really have like the jocks and the goths and like the band kids. I mean, there were certainly those friend groups, but it wasn't like everyone was siloed. But I certainly had friends, or at least was, in good rapport with sort of everybody. Um, I still wouldn't go back. Still wouldn't go back to high school.
Voluntarily? Who would do that?
Some people, that was their golden years. Um,
Mm, true.
but no, I wouldn't go back. But no, I wouldn't. It wasn't terrible. It was just Texas public school, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I wasn't much different. I guess
Were you not the minority there?
I was a minority, or like my skin color. What do you mean?
Yeah, like we're
I yeah, I was a minor. Yeah, that was a thing. I mean, it's not like I was the only like Hispanic person there, but it's still in a smaller Texas city. There was certainly like difficulties with some of the people there.
Uh-huh.
Again, it's conservative Texas suburb,
Yeah.
um, and I'm a Hispanic atheist. You know what I mean? So like, there was that, but it wasn't horrible, thankfully.
Yeah. Huh. That is good news. I know, I'm
I mean,
sorry.
I still don't want to go back to high school, and I still moved out of Texas, so
You did. A lot of
yeah,
people are there and stay there forever, never leave.
I miss the food, but that's all I miss.
Mm. I would go back to high school just because I screwed up so bad in high school.
Mm. Like in grades or like other regrets.
Everything. And it's kind of difficult to say because, right?
Then you don't have to say it.
Well, no. I mean, like, it's kind of hard to pinpoint when it started going downhill because in my senior year, I had just went over, like, I went to a new high school in my senior year.
Hmm.
So I barely knew anyone, and, everyone
Oh,
had been there since freshman to see. So I was the outcast, and I pretty much hung out with the outcasts of it, the
hmm.
small group of maybe three, four people. And I was just, I was just done. Like it didn't matter. I didn't feel like I belonged there because I kind of really didn't really belong there. And, whatever issues was going on at home, and my
Right.
teachers didn't really know who I was.
Yeah.
So I just showed up when I wanted to show up, and they still
Mhm.
passed me.
Which, yeah, I mean, there's a lot that can be said about that and
Mm,
public school system, well, the education system in general in this country.
yeah.
Um, but I'm going to try and not alienate all of my fans on this interview.
Just just maybe 5,000.
Yeah, yeah, I'll go with that.
The I think the reason why a lot of people don't do sci-fi horror is because it's very wordy. It's
Hmm.
very technical.
Yeah,
You have the Russian and German accents, you have the lingo that can be very difficult to pronounce or
yeah.
make it sound natural.
There's I narrated. There's this another movie that I really like called Arrival.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen it. Um, it's based on a short story called Story of Our Life, I believe.
Something like that.
Um,
Yeah.
and I narrated that,
I heard it. Yes.
and it that one I actually like. I didn't write that, but I had to like Google what the hell some of the words were, like not just how to pronounce them, but what the hell they meant. Because it was very, very technical in a lot of parts of it, to the point where once I had started, I was like, are people gonna like this? Like, are people gonna understand without the words in front of them to be able to like see it,
Mm-hmm.
what's happening? Because it wasn't just like aliens and like biology, it was like linguistics and like math and like all sorts of different topics. That was pretty dense, but I truly loved the story. I love the movie inspired by it, and I just went ahead and did it. There are a few mispronunciations that I recognize going through it now, um, and that were pointed out in comments, so that's unfortunate. Um, but I'm still happy to have done that story, and it's done well. And yeah, people might not know this, but on YouTube and your analytics, you can see like where externally your store, like your videos have been shared sometimes. Um, and like this, my narration was like shared on some like two or three different like school, like high school or maybe university, like um, what do you call it? Like, if you're in college or high school, you have like a login for like your school network or whatever. Like it's been shared on there for like, I guess like people who had to read the story for school
Yes.
were listening to my narration of it,
Oh,
either
cool.
instead of reading the story or, along with it, which was kind of cool. So people were like commenting like, "Hey, I had to read this for school," and hearing you like read it was great. It kept me like I was able to actually like pay attention and stuff like that. So that meant a lot, and I'm glad I was able to do that. I'm glad I actually did stick with it and make it, regardless of how dense it was.
Worth the effort for sure.
Right.
Man, that is so lucky when it's a book that students are assigned because it's just, oh man,
Yeah,
that makes it easy.
sure does.
I narrated a story that students had to read for Black History Month, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, they were like, "This isn't real." I'm like, "Dude, this is real. This is real." And dealing with segregation and stuff like that. And I'm like, they're like, "But did this story really need to be read?" I was like, "Yes, it did."
Mm.
Apparently.
Mm.
But I had to unlist it because it wasn't horror.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've do you Do you have another channel where you post anything else, or do you just keep your things specifically horror and just keep it, to this one channel?
I have two other channels where I post other things.
Okay.
One's ASMR and one is for writers.
Hmm. Oh, the one you give like tips and stuff, right? In the writers one, like you talk to people.
I do interviews and I read, uh, like, I read poetry and the first chapter of books.
Hmm. Awesome.
Mm.
Yeah, I flirted with the idea of. So I have another channel that like I own. It was just like my personal channel, and the first video I ever edited was a tribute video to the show BoJack Horseman from Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
When it ended, and it kind of blew up.
Get out.
Let me see where it's at now.
2 million
Uh,
views.
it has over 1 million views right now,
I was joking. Holy shit.
and 33,000 likes.
What the
Here, I'll link it to you. You can watch it.
I
Looking back at it, I wish I worked harder on it, seeing
mm-hmm.
how many views it got.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and damn, I wish I didn't. I wish I edited it better so I could have monetized it. But no, but that got this channel over 1,000 subscribers. So I was like, okay, I have this channel with 1,000 subscribers that can easily be monetized. Like, can I? I'm doing this sci-fi stuff like out of the love of sci-fi. Is there some way I can like make use of this other channel?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I thought of doing like tech news, but there's so many of those and just so much regurgitation, and it just my heart wasn't in that. Um, then I thought about doing video essays, um, kind of in line with sort of, I don't know if you're familiar with the channel Aperture, um, but kind of really close to what he does. Um, but I just don't have the time. And I did end up making two videos, and I wanted people to see them, so I actually asked my audience. I was like, "Hey, would you guys care if I put these two videos on my channel? It's not fiction, it's not horror,
Mm.
not a narration." Um, and generally, people were like, "Yeah, I'd love to hear it." People were like, "I don't care, it's your channel, do whatever. If I don't like it, I won't listen to it." Some people were like, "No, fuck you." But I did end up just posting it, so that's like there's only one I've posted so far. I didn't haven't done the other one yet. Um, but yeah, it's just about storytelling and how that's like influenced humanity, like as a civilization and like our cultures and stuff like that.
Mm.
So you can find that on my channel. So that's the only kind of like those two things will be the only non-horror related things that I upload on there.
I think that is huge when you have a well-established channel like yours is that's so focused on sci-fi horror, like specifically, is that you reached out to your audience and asked them what they thought and how they felt about it, as opposed to just throwing that out there and catching them off guard and thinking that you're taking a new direction,
Right, exactly.
which is probably why so many people lose subscribers or views when they post something that's not the norm.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you do post narrations of deep sea horror as well,
hmm
and it's still okay.
Yeah. My, I guess, rationale behind that is I very much equate the ocean with space in a way.
I understand that.
Um,
Yeah.
and beyond just that kind of fear of the unknown and vast emptiness and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of these stories that I am narrating that are ocean based are still sci-fi in a way, whether it's like cosmic horror, which again I still consider sci-fi if it's written a certain way. But whether it's like cosmic beasts or a climate change catastrophe that caused everything to be underwater, or if it's well, which is not really science fiction, but it's the future,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's aliens living underwater or like an underground civilization, I still think of that as sci-fi in my mind. And again, people enjoy it, so like sci-fi, like just that encompasses space, ocean, like top secret military experiments, aliens, post-apocalyptic stuff. To me, maybe not on paper is defined as sci-fi, but that kind of all fits under the same umbrella.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember you sent out a survey asking what type of horror would y'all like to see on the channel, and the deep sea horror was one of the top results that you got.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, people love their ocean stories.
Mm. Well, they hate them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They might be a bit harder for me to find than others other stories though.
Oh, yeah. That's very specific.
Yeah. And not just again, not just ocean, but ocean with some sort of semblance of sci-fi.
Yeah.
Again,
That's
it's
true.
like even more niche.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because you do like deep sea divers and stuff like that, and there's a
Mhm.
technical aspect to it, so it still sort of feels kind of sciencey still.
Right.
Yeah, I like those too. They terrify me.
Yeah, I'm more scared of the ocean than I am of space.
Yes, I can understand that also. There's so much more in the ocean, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite word? Ooh.
Um, I don't think I've ever used this word in a narration, but I really like the word crepuscular.
What? What's that?
Crepuscular, of resembling or relating to light or
Mm.
twilight.
Mm.
Appearing or active in twilight is what it is in zoology. I don't
Nice.
know, it just sounds cool.
Yeah. Just throw that into like conversation. Just because I want to use it, just find a way to weave that in somehow.
Right, exactly.
Mm.
Also, in biology, a minute body or cell in an organism, especially a red or white cell in the blood of vertebrates. Crepuscular. Just fun. Just a fun word to say.
I mean, you're at 26K subscribers. Do you have anything that you're still working on or feel you need to improve on as a narrator?
My voice,
Oh my gosh, you have a good voice for reading.
my voice, my music library, my
Mm,
audio leveling,
yeah, always.
my upload consistency, my what else? What else we got? Mouth sounds, clicks.
Uh, what do you do for that? Because they're not as bad as they were when you started.
I don't. I mean, I just again, like I kind of changed my recording space.
Mm,
I just do different tools in Audacity.
mm,
Um, Nothing like crazy.
mm.
And then I'll go through and I'll just try to find like the isolated clicks or peaks and edit those out.
Mm.
But I still hear them, and it still stresses me out. And what's worse is doing this now
Mm,
and like being so hyper aware of it
yeah.
has also made it hard for me to listen to some other people narrate or even just like stuff on TV or something like that. I'll be like, I can hear the fucking clicks.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. And I
Yes.
know how hard it is to deal with, but it also just it annoys me, which because it annoys me when it happens to me. You know what I mean?
Yes. Of course. You're mentally thinking about how to remove them, even though they're
Yeah,
not yours.
exactly.
Yeah, forever. Forever a struggle. Especially leveling. Um, like I would start in Audacity and um, put all the audio and music and sound effects together, and then I would upload it to YouTube and I listened to it after I upload it. And then I'm just like,
Oh,
hmm?
I was saying, oh yeah, it sounds sometimes completely different.
Completely different. Yes.
It's so fucking frustrating.
That's going all the way back to the freaking basics. Y'all don't understand. We do so much for y'all. You don't you don't even know.
Right. Yeah, it's certainly not as, I got a comment the other day that's like, why do you put so many ads in your story? First of all, I think there was one mid-roll in like a 30-minute story, and it was like in a good stopping spot. But he was like, all you do is read someone else's story for free or that we get for free on the internet. There's 100 other people like you. And I'm like, okay, then why are you listening to me then? And why are you complaining about it? You can't like I'm not just doing this. It's a lot of work, you know what I mean? Um, you
Wow.
could do it if you wanted
Please,
to.
please
Right.
do it for a week and tell me that this is not time consume. This is so much.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't understand that for a lot of things like artists or concept artists and stuff like that, digital artists especially.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's true.
they'll be like, "Oh, why are you or photographers like why do you charge so much?" It's like, well, it's because they've spend a lot of time doing things and they've spent a lot of time becoming good at the thing that they're doing.
Mm-hmm. They spend a lot of money for the equipment that they use.
Yeah, that too.
Uh, Daggone. I think even if I was to show people what it was like, just to show them what it's like from beginning to end, I feel like they still wouldn't really get it.
Right. Yeah.
I've considered that to just go from searching for the story, finding a story, getting authorization, um, recording it, editing it, finding visuals, putting together the thumbnail, um, putting the video together, putting all the timing and cutting, and oh my gosh, and then uploading it, fixing
Yeah.
it after. I don't think it would just compute.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I had to definitely tone it down because it was just too much for me. Um, Sci-fi has a lot of crazy words in it. Do you Is there a word or a phrase that trips you up?
So growing up in Texas, one word that everyone down there mispronounces for some reason is pronouncing nuclear, like nuclear, with like a U, nuclear.
Huh.
Um, and that's how I grew up like here. I know that's incorrect, so I always have to like stop myself and check myself to make sure I'm pronouncing it nuclear,
Uh-huh.
because when I don't, all hell breaks loose in the comment section. Um, so that is that word I have to pay particular attention to. Um, I don't know what else off the top of my head, honestly. I think really anything with like like a lot of sounds in it, like S sounds.
Yeah.
Just because making sure I enunciate it and make it not sound like whistly or anything like that, it's just annoying.
Yeah.
Especially when it's multiple words with like TH or S or SH like in a row.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're a Dr. Seuss book or something. Yeah, it's annoying.
Do you do your warm-ups?
Not every time.
Mm. Honesty.
Yeah, not every time.
Mm. The words that trip me up are, and I'm going to try to say it correctly. Ask.
Hmm.
That takes so much concentration for me to say it. Ask and gasp. Oh my God.
Hmm.
I almost made my jaw hurt. um, and trying to say the word store
Hmm.
without a Brooklyn accent.
What's wrong with the Brooklyn accent?
Because it's, you can't read a narration and then in the middle of it have a Brooklyn accent. You can't do that. That throws people so far off that they don't hear the rest of the story.
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun in the blooper reel, but it's not fun in the narration.
Sure. Fine.
It'll probably get you a lot of comments. That'll be nice.
There you go.
Mm,
That's engagement.
there you go. I need to throw one in. She walked to the store and she parked the car, got a dog, got a hero. What's up? I feel like it's hard to ask a writer, which you are, even though you deny it, to ask a writer if they have a favorite story that they've written.
Um, I mean, I think it would be the moon one so far.
Do you remember the title?
The moon, like the astronauts to the moon, that needs a title one.
Ah, that one. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the one that I'm finishing right now.
It's always the one that's the most recent that's like the favorite.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for me?
Hmm. Do you or can you record yourself singing a lullaby so that I have something to go to sleep to? Because your voice is perfect. And also, I don't ever hear a Brooklyn accent. So do you just not have a real pronounced one, or did you work to do you work on that?
I work on it. Yeah.
It is. I would never have guessed you were from Brooklyn.
That's that's, I don't know if that's good or not, but it comes and goes. Sometimes I've listened to interviews that they just crop up out of nowhere.
Mhm.
And yeah, you say certain words, it comes up, and if I'm around family, it definitely comes up. Holy crap, it gets really strong then. But a lullaby, which one?
I don't know the names of
Uh,
lullabies. Who do you think I am?
what makes you think I could sing?
I don't know. You don't really have to sing. You can just kind of like say.
I'll just read it.
Do people? I guess people do sing "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Why have you and Lady Spukaria not started like a podcast or something together, or just had like a regular live show? What's going on with that?
I'll ask her today.
Okay, I'll ask her too.
Okay. You had to make sure I do it, huh?
I'll ask her right now.
Well, at least I know we have one listener. Why would you want that?
You guys have a good rapport
Yeah.
together. I like it.
Yeah.
Fun.
Every time I go on her channel, to talk to her during her live streams, it's like one of the highest performing videos on her channel every
Yeah.
time. Mine as
Again,
well,
it's
right?
just a great dynamic. Yeah.
Mm,
I'm sure you guys would have plenty to talk about on a weekly basis.
I wonder.
Or guests.
Ah,
Have guests. Yeah.
yeah. We'll ask her. We'll see what she says now that we have a podcast tab.
There you go.
No excuses.
No excuses.
Well, this is your time to pitch your channel.
Yeah, right. My channel. What is it?
Mm,
Who am I? You just heard who I am. Yeah, so my channel is Magnetar. I think if you type in Magnetar YT, you should get it. If you just type in Magnetar, you'll probably just get a bunch of science videos
no,
about,
yours is the top result now.
well, maybe the top result for you because it knows what you're looking for as
Mm,
a horror person.
good
But
point.
I'm not sure if that holds true for everybody. But regardless, Magnetar YT, you can type in Magnetar, creepypasta, whatever. Um, I'm a channel that focuses specifically on sci-fi related content, ocean stories, military stories, post-apocalyptic stories, and everything in between. I try to upload as much as I can, but it's at least 4 times a month right now. So yeah, check it out. I got some really cool series in the work and on the way, and I've partnered with some really awesome authors. So I know I'd love for you to hear their work.
Mm, I can attest to that. There are some really cool stories on your channel, I gotta say.
Thank you.
You do good stuff.
I try.
What are you sending me? Oh, that's something else. Oh, your BoJack Horseman one. Okay.
Sent that a long time ago.
Yes. Now I have to research the lullabies. I'm not really gonna. You really want that?
You'll figure it out.
Oh,
I believe in
you
you.
believe in me? That's great. And then you'll.
You do ASMR. You can do a lullaby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
Hmm. Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Max.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. And again, it's long overdue.
Yeah, seriously. And thank you guys for joining us for the interview. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please leave a like. Check out Magnetar's channel. And I will see y'all soon. Take care. What's up, YouTube? This is Dodge the Grave, and today I am being joined by horror writer and narrator Dr. Gallo. How are you doing today, man?
Hello, I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me. I'm having a lovely evening so far.
I am so glad to hear it. So we've been meaning to do this for so long. I would say like a year or so.
Yeah, I think when you first approached me, it was probably about a year ago. Yeah. Um,
Mm,
it's one of those things. I never wanted to kind of chase you about it and hassle you because I know you have your own stuff going on. I figured if you still wanted to do it at some point, you would come back to me and you did. And here we are.
and here we are.